Diversity is still lacking when it comes to the venture capital industry. According to 2018 data from non-profit organization Black VC, African Americans made up 3% of the VC industry and Hispanics made up 1%. And in a survey of 638 firms with more than 7 investors, nearly 90% had no black investors. One investor working to increase representation in the industry is Rashaun Williams from Manhattan Venture Partners. Along with being general partner of the firm's MVP All-Star Fund. He was a founding partner at Queensbridge Venture Fund, which he helped launch and manage with other partners, including rapper Nas. He joins us now. Very good to see you, Rashaun. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
So what is the biggest problem? Is it a lack of investors like you or a lack of target companies and those companies having access to capital when they're starting out?
Well, from the top down, the VC firms are used to recruiting companies from their network. So if you're not a part of the Stanford network or the Silicon Valley network or the San Francisco community, you've been largely overlooked, right? And just big pockets of African Americans just don't populate in that area like they do in Atlanta, Chicago, or New York. But from the bottom up, the real issue, and this is what most people don't understand, is that before you even get to Silicon Valley to raise a $5 million seed round, you've already put your own money in. You've raised money from family and friends. You've raised money from angel investors. And there are just not a lot of people in the minority communities that have access to people who can write a $100,000 check for their startup idea. So they wind up creating businesses and going and seeking capital at an earlier stage when other founders who have access to capital from the family and friends and angel community already have a business, already have a team, already have traction, already have revenue. So it's really a wealth gap issue from the bottom up. And then it's a community issue from the top down, just recruiting in the communities that you coincide.
Is that being solved? I mean, is capital reaching those businesses at least, even if there is this sort of valuation issue where perhaps black entrepreneurs are having to sell stakes in their company earlier and therefore at a lower valuation?
Well, I think it's important to put it in context. Less than 2% of companies get venture capital funding to start with. But here's how the problem is getting solved. I would say it's kind of 3 main things. The first thing is you see crowdfunding. So now minorities can reach out to their extended community and raise capital for these risky startup, activities. And that wasn't something that was around a decade ago, right? So now you can go on social media, raise hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars from your extended community. The second thing that's happening is the rise of what I call the micro VCs. So you're seeing a lot of corporations, a lot of investors who want to solve the problem, and they're investing in these 10, 20, $50 million VC funds that would be considered a micro VC. And they're going and bridging that gap between the family and friends and the angel investors that people from poorer communities or minority communities just don't have access to. So I love to see all the activity there. And then last but not least, I can't overlook this really big thing. Beats by Dre, 50 Cent with Vitamin Water. The more popular becoming a founder and investor becomes in pop culture, athletes and entertainers, it trickles down in our community because we over-index in those particular industries. So you're starting to see a lot of interest and a lot of athletes and entertainers investing in those seed rounds where VCs won't even touch it yet because it's too early.
Like who? Who should we keep an eye on?
I'll give you my top 5. These are guys that I think are really doing the work, set up their own venture capital funds, and are super smart. Obviously, at the top of my list is probably Thaddeus Young, that plays for the Chicago Bulls. If you go to his website, reformventures.com, this guy is in every deal that top tier VC firms want to be in. And he got his MBA while being in the NBA for 15 years. Number 2, Malcolm Jenkins. He just launched a venture capital fund, New Orleans Saints football player. He's very active on the investing side. A lot of respect for him. Guys like Derek Morgan, retired Tennessee Titan, Josh Childress, Stanford grad, former NBA player. And my favorite of all time is actually Jamal Mashburn. I don't know if you guys have been following what retired NBA player Jamal Mashburn is doing, but just an amazing portfolio of companies that he's invested in, and most people don't even know about it. So I would say those are some of my favorites.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.